Good morning and welcome to Frontiers of Knowledge segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. God is believed to be the person or an agency or a power that created the universe. And then the replication, reproduction started, and that was barring a few self replicating amphibians, primarily a union of the male and the female. And that was the plea advanced by all the believers that God created man and other species, so he must be omnipresent, omniscient, powerful. Now the scientists have developed robots, and earlier the robots were just mechanical toys. Then came those robots who could love you, assist you, and do all the jobs that you wanted from your partner. And now, wonder of wonders, the first living robots have been developed. And those robots are capable of performing such functions that are essential to the survival of any species. For any species to survive, reproduction is the most essential part. If there is no reproduction, there will be no new generation, and the species would just be finished. But not any longer. These living robots are called xenobots. They are organisms and use an entirely novel form of biological self-replication. And when I was looking at the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, I saw it and I was really, really amazed. And I'm amazed that such a news that is shattering news, that now the robots which are living like you and me are capable of reproduction like you and me. The authors discovered that the machines can gather hundreds of cells, hundreds of single cells, and assemble them into baby xenorobots. So hundreds of cells are combined together, and after a few days, these offsprings evolve to look and move just like their parents. The progeny can repeat the process over and over again. So a new species, as a matter of fact, has been created, the xenobots. This could not have been possible or even dreamt of in any science fiction. Machines were there, but they were made by the people, controlled by the people. Ultimately, they have some more power, like in Brave New World. But this is something absolutely new that the machines are able to reproduce. People have thought for quite some long time that we have worked out all the ways of life and that can produce or replicate. But this is something that has never been observed before. Now, agreed that the critics would say that the millimeter-wide xenobots are assembled from living cells scraped from frog embryos. So they are very small, but then they are a major step. As landing on the moon, when Neil Armstrong said, it's a single step for man, but a huge step for the mankind. So even the millimeter-wide xenobot, a living robot, if it can replicate, the imagination staggers to conceive what the future would be. Now, confined to the petri dishes, these millimeter wide xenobots lead a life that are very different from those of their amphibian ancestors like frogs. Frogs and tadpoles are amphibians, live on the land, live in the water. But then they are not self-replicating, they reproduce. Now, these millimeter wide xenobots would be sitting on the outside of a tadpole, keeping out pathogens and redistributing mucus. This is what Michael Levin, the biologist at Tufts University, says. He is a leader of the new research. And they are putting them in new context that scientists are giving them a chance of reimagining their multicellularity. This multicellularity is the king to a living human being like you and me. Now, you can now say that the God was a great scientist who produced these cells and brought forth the creation. But what God has done according to the believers at this huge scale, these scientists at the Tufts University have done on a small scale. And the petri dishes are the new Garden of Eden for these xenobots. Independently, a xenobot can produce children, but the system normally dies soon after. So the span is limited. And to give the parents a chance to see their kids grow up, the researchers have now turned to artificial intelligence. So there's going to be a combination of artificial intelligence and robotics. And now the organisms form a minuscule brood. It's a group of children, small children of the xenobots living together. And the evolutionary algorithm has been used to test billions of potential body shapes in simulation. So what sort of body should be provided? The soul is created. The body has to be there. The mind is there. The brain is there. And with the help of evolutionary algorithm, maybe they'll have a new body as well. So these millimeter wide might be 6 feet in the near future. And the whole system of these xenobots is designed to find forms that would be effective for the self-replicating organisms. And one of the eye-catching reactions is resembling Pac-Man. So they would be exactly the way you and I feel. Maybe you go to a restaurant or anywhere and you find them. The co-lead author of the new study is Sam Krigman, and he says it's very non-intuitive. It looks very simple, but it's not something a human engineer could come up with till now. They say that now is only one mouth, so why not 5 mouths? So the proud parent in red with his child is reddish color. The researchers have then built a xenoform in this shape and tested its child-rearing skill. And they found that the AI-designed parent could use its Pac-Man shaped mouth to compress stem cells into a circuit of spring. And the children then built the grandchildren, who built great-grandchildren, and they built great-great-great-grandchildren. And the xenoform dynasty was taking shape in a lab. But imagine the parents, the grandchildren, the grandchildren, the great-children, the complete dynasty is there on a table. And the stem cells are compacted into spherical offspring. That present the shape is spherical. Although xenobots could previously work in group of self-heal and even record memories, this is the first time they have been able to raise a family. Now, this is something great, but it's also terrifying. You raise an army of xenobots, an army, and invade another country, and they are not susceptible to your offensive. Your armaments may not be enough unless they are nuclear, and nuclear can be very dangerous. So these visions of self-replicating robots, swarms, like locusts when they come. So these swarms of self-replicating xenobots can invade the land and lay plunder it up. But the researchers envision more optimistic outlook. They believe the system could advance numerous technological forms, from living machines that clean microplastics to the new medication. Now, this is something great, that they are able to use these not as Frankensteins, but to help clean the oceans and go in for regenerative medicine. Since they are self-replicating, maybe they can be used to cure your irreparable organ transplants. If we knew how to tell collections of cells to do what we want them to do ultimately, that's regenerative medicine. And that's the solution to the traumatic injury, birth defects, cancer, aging. Now it's on the human beings to know and to use this great capability for the good or for the bad. As a knife can be used by a butcher to cut and murder to murder, and the same knife and scalpel can be used by a surgeon to heal. Same is true of these xenobots. All of these different problems are here because we did not know how to predict and control the groups of people earlier. But if the scientists can control them, then the lessons learned will determine the legacy of xenobots. This is a shattering development. And as I said earlier, I was amazed that there has not been a single news, single compliment to this epoch-making news that changes the very shape of creation and alters the concepts under which we have been living. Why is it that such great creativity is ignored for absolutely useless, redundant, time-wasting news? Are those news that shatter our faith in the mankind? Slanders, scandals, they fill the media. But such creativity, which is almost a challenge to the concept of God, that if God could create, so can man create. And the 5 generations of the xenobots lined up on the table is a testimony to the great intuitive creativity of mankind. This creates a new frontier of knowledge, a new dimension to the human capability, and opens a new vista for the further development. It opens up new avenues of work, of thought, and even of philosophy, and even of religion, as a matter of fact. So all the disciplines connected with the mankind receive a new outlook. Is the unicorns coming back? Are the phoenix going to rise from the ashes? That's what I look forward to. But it's a great news and a great new chartering of the new boundaries, or rather extending these boundaries to timelessness. Thank you.